Good afternoon. It is the Governor Jupiter again. It's Wednesday, October 9th, 2024. Things are slowly starting to return to normal here in Hurricane Alley. Grocery stores have reopened with limited hours. Gas is available. More and more people are returning to work. And I got to thinking about all the hurricanes I'd survived. And I lived in Mississippi for 9 years, and every time they called for a hurricane, people would ask if I was nervous, if I was scared. And I'd say no. And they're like, why not? And I'd say, because all hurricanes end up in western North Carolina. The first hurricane I can remember was Hugo in 1989. My bus driver had picked me up and had picked some other students up, and we got to the Swing Kids' house, and their mother greeted the bus driver and said that school was closed because of the hurricane. So the bus driver turned around and took us all back to our homes. And I'm like, yeah, free day. And then in 2004, Ivan and Francis hit us pretty hard with the rain. Biltmore Village was flooded. The UNC exit was flooded. And Ivan came back around the second time and gave us even more rain. And then, I moved to Mississippi in 2015. That was just 10 years after Katrina. And for a large part of that time, I lived in a house that was flooded by Katrina. And you could actually see the parts of the house that had been replaced because they didn't match the upper parts. You could see the old drywall versus the newish drywall. The old studs versus the new studs. And people talked about it like it was yesterday. They always reckon time according to before Katrina and after Katrina. And while I was down there, there were several hurricanes that I survived. The earliest one I can remember was in 2017. It was in October. Hurricane Nate. My son was due the following weekend, and I was afraid he'd come early. I'd heard stories that the barometric pressure drop could cause early labor. And I didn't sleep at all that night. But I did bring a box of cigars with us. We were staying at my wife's aunt's house along with some of her family. And I'm like, well, if he does come early, I'm going to be prepared because I'm going to pass these out if my son is born. And ever since that time, I'd always smoked a cigar just before or during the hurricane. In 2020, I lived through 5 hurricanes. And you have to remember, I was only 15 minutes from the coast. The first one wasn't that big of a deal. The next 2 were kind of mild. The fourth one was somewhat bad. It been our garage door, and we had to pay to have them fix it. And then the hurricane after that, because we had so many named hurricanes, they had to restart the alphabet. So the hurricane after that was Zeta. And that was the end of the hurricane line. And we got it pretty bad. I had 6 truckloads of debris that I had to pick up from my yard and take them somewhere else. And that was the only hurricane other than Nate down there that actually scared me because, like I said, I like to smoke a cigar during a hurricane. And I was in the garage smoking a cigar, and the big pine tree across the road just went back and forth like this. And if it had fallen just the right way, it would have crushed our house. But miraculously, we didn't have any damage to our cars or any damage to our house. And I recently moved back to western North Carolina. And I got to say, Helene is the worst hurricane I've ever seen. It was worse than all 5 of those hurricanes in 2020 combined. Bridges are out. People have lost their homes. Entire families have been lost. And I've done pretty well. I was talking to somebody today, and they said they had a lot of guilt that they lived through this and there was no damage to their house. I want y'all to continue keeping us in your prayers. This is a loss of innocence for many children and young adults. My grandmother swore things were different after World War II. My dad would sometimes talk about the Kennedy assassination. And I watched 9/11 live on CNN and Fox News. The kids who were too young to remember COVID will probably remember this the rest of their lives. And counseling is available here, and I encourage everyone here to take advantage of the free counseling that is available, because you might need it.